Hi Dollar Divas, welcome to Behind the Vanity. I'm Jessica. So today I am going to be ranking all of the palettes that I purchased in 2020. There are a couple that I purchased that I did declutter last year, but it really wasn't very many palettes, and I don't think I really decluttered hardly any palettes that I did purchase last year. I'm a little surprised at how many palettes I did actually purchase last year. This year I'm really going to try to purchase a whole lot less because I do love my collection. So I will link all of my palette-oriented videos down below in the description box. I have an entire playlist that is dedicated to palettes, so I will link that down below. And also too, before we get into today's video, if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me, and I do hope that if you're not already subscribed, you will go ahead and hit that subscribe button and continue on this journey with me. And of course, if you are returning, thank you so much for returning. I appreciate it so much. And I am a little hoarse today. It's been, well, you know, New Year's. I hope everyone has had a very happy and safe New Year's Eve. I hope so far everybody is having a much better year. I know it's only been 2 days, but you know, I think it counts for something. And I hope that we all have a much better year this year. So far so good, at least here anyways. But yeah, it's been New Year's, and you know, at 36, you just don't recover the way that you used to. So yes, I am paying dearly for the last couple days. So if you want to see my 2020 palette ranking, definitely keep on watching. So keep in mind that these are not necessarily palettes that came out this year. They are just palettes that I purchased. So like I said, they're not going to be necessarily brand new or anything like that, but they are palettes that I did purchase this past year. So, and also too, just because some are at the bottom does not mean that I don't like them. They are in my collection. So if they're in my collection, I like them because I have not decluttered them yet. Now I will at some point this year probably have a declutter, but I'm always a little meek when it comes to decluttering. So I have a hard time letting things go, and I do try to use everything and rotate everything. So just know that I love all of these palettes, but some have to be at the bottom for various reasons. So I actually have 21 palettes, but there are only going to be 20 spots because 2 of them are actually going to share a spot. So let's just hop right into it. Coming in at number 21 is the LA Colors Trendy palette. So you know I do a lot of Dollar Tree makeup, but I am a sucker for a high-end eyeshadow palette. That is one of those splurges that if I want a high-end eyeshadow palette, that's what I buy. But I purchase a lot of products from the Dollar Tree that are just absolute gems. Some of their face products, their bronzers, their highlighters, their eyelashes, their blushes. They have so many good products, but some of the eyeshadow palettes just can't compete with some of my higher end ones. And this is actually a really nice palette, and I will have corresponding videos linked down below in the description box. But I did use this and got a very pretty look. The reason why it's ranked the lowest of palettes that I purchased this year is because it is a little bit repetitive. I love these teal shades here, very non-offensive if you kind of want to try a little bit of color but you don't want to commit to it. And then I love that they always have a really light color and a really dark color in these palettes. I do think they could narrow this down to 6 pans. And out of all the LA Colors eyeshadows that I've tried, the 12 pan are the weakest. I kind of feel with LA Colors, at least the stuff that you buy from the Dollar Tree, the smaller the palette or the smaller the pan, the better the quality. But this is a really kind of nice, half neutral, half slightly colorful palette from the Dollar Tree. Coming in at number 20 is the Believe Beauty Love Struck palette. And it is really a gorgeous palette. Those shimmers are really, really nice. The reason why I ranked this one where I did is because it kind of lacks a really dark color, like a dark matte, like a dark brown. And then it lacks a kind of a light matte or an even lighter shimmer. So it's hard to get that depth, you know, on the outer part of the eye or the under the brow bone highlight. But other than that, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. Believe Beauty has amazing makeup, particularly their foundation is a complete and total standout. So yes, I just kind of ranked this where it is because to me, it's a little bit more of a companion palette. If you don't know what a companion palette is, it's just a palette that is a little difficult to use kind of on its own, so you pair it with something else. So it is a beautiful palette. I do really, really like it. It's just, it lacks that depth for me personally. But I do love that it does have 3 mattes and 3 shimmers, and all are very, very, very different. So that is a huge plus. And of course, it's extremely affordable. I think these are like $4.50 at Dollar General, something like that. Super affordable, cheaper than the drugstore for sure, and really nice quality as well. Coming in at number 19 is the LA Colors 6-pan eyeshadow palette in Lucky. The quality is amazing. This white shade here is better than the white shade in the Birds of Paradise palette. These browns are really rich, and the greens are stunning. But I do feel they probably could have gotten away with 3 or 4 shades. This could have been a trio or a quad. But again, lovely quality. I'd seen these for years and never picked one up until I saw the green around the holidays. But yeah, these are really nice quality. Like I said, the smaller the LA Colors palette, the better the quality. At number 18 is the Makeup Revolution Birds of Paradise palette. And this palette was like one of my first, not my first, but it was early on in my journey into discovering color. And so as I've acquired more colorful eyeshadow palettes, this one has kind of gotten bumped down. Again, because it is kind of a companion palette now in the broad scheme of all the colorful palettes that I own. It's something that doesn't hold up on its own very well, but I love this palette so much. I've done a couple really amazing looks, and I actually have used it completely on its own. It is just a beautiful tropical oasis of a palette. A couple of the colors are a little repetitive, but they really are gorgeous. You get that bright poppy yellow. That white there isn't the best, but I'm really glad it's there, honestly. And you get your glitters up there, and then you got, I don't know if those are Super Shock. They're kind of like that soft texture, and those are gorgeous. They add to any look as something special, like a little iridescence. So a couple of the colors are kind of hard to work with. Other than that, I really do like this palette. There was a time I would have ranked this higher. But like I said, I have acquired more colorful eyeshadow palettes since then, so this has gotten bumped down again, but this is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. And I do like these Makeup Revolution Forever Flawless palettes. At number 17 is the LA Colors 6-pan eyeshadow palette in Sunset Break. It is gorgeous. I'll tell you what, these little palettes here, the pan size, they're really small. The pans are kind of small, and the compact is tiny, which is great for travel, and it's got this great little mirror, and the color story is gorgeous. Again, it kind of lacks like an under the brow bone highlight, but all 6 shades are completely different. You get your mattes, you get your shimmers, and I just recently used this with another palette from the Dollar Tree to get a really beautiful holiday green look. And I was testing out some new makeup from the Dollar Tree. Now, I do think this is a little bit more versatile than the Believe Beauty palette, and that's why I ranked it a little bit higher. And I'm a little bit over kind of like the mauves and pinks and stuff like that, so yes, I do think this is a beautiful color story. I did have another one of these that I did buy that I decluttered. It was like a purple and pink color story, and I had a friend that I thought would really enjoy it. So I do like this color story a lot better. It's personally a little bit more tailored to what I like, but definitely these little palettes are amazing for $1, for sure. At 16 is the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet palette. You know, I love Urban Decay. Urban Decay is just so sentimental to me because it's one of those first like high-end brands I bought, like that and Too Faced. And I actually just did a ranking video where I rank all of my Urban Decay palettes. But yeah, I'm gonna have to put at number 17, the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet. And you know, this palette really struck me in person. It's so much prettier in person than it was in photos and even on other people's videos. But, you know, a couple of the shades, if you've watched that video, you know what I'm going to say, but a couple of the shades are a little difficult to work with. This one here is beautiful. See, it's got a shift, but it's incredibly difficult to work with. This shade right here, Lucid, really is kind of worth the price of the palette along with the brush. These 3 shades here and Lucid are definitely like the best shades in the palette. But there's a lot of shimmer. There's very little matte. I think you only have 3 mattes, and then you have like a Trippin', I think is kind of semi-matte. It's kind of like a satin. Now I did hear, I think it was Kelly Gooch, she was rating all of her palettes that she purchased this year, and she ranked this actually pretty high, but she suggested that this probably should have been like a blue of some sort, and I agree. I think that should have been like a royal blue, like a deep royal blue, something that you could do a smoky eye with and have it be like pink and purple and blue. But yeah, like I said, I kind of knew when I bought this palette I probably wasn't going to use it as much as other palettes, but it just struck me so much in person. It was just so pretty that I was like, I really do kind of want to own it, but I will never use it as much as I use my Urban Decay Naked Honey or my Urban Decay Naked Heat. And number 15 is the Rimmel Magnifeyes Electric Violet palette. Actually, what a lot of people consider kind of a dupe for the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet. I did like a half and half side comparison where I tried to achieve the same look. Again, I'll have that link down below. I ranked this palette higher for a couple reasons. First being, they have a good shade where you can smoke out your eye, as well as that beautiful royal shimmery blue. You've got your purples. You don't have as like much of a pink, but you've got the different purples. I really like this slightly deeper matte lilac better than the lighter version in the other palette. And then you've got some of your neutral shades here. And then you can actually dupe Lucid with these two shades right here. So overall, and I liked the quality of this a lot. So overall, this is actually a better color story in a lot of ways. So I did rank it higher because it has a lot of really good qualities. Of course, it's very affordable. And what made me book this higher than that palette was the fact that you can dupe Lucid with it. You just mix those two shades and it creates a very similar effect. So yes, this one comes in a little higher than the Urban Decay Ultraviolet. So these two palettes share a spot at number 14, usually because I do tend to reach for both of them at the same time. And that is the Shop Miss A Date Night and Foxy Eyeshadow Kits. The Date Night is this beautiful kind of neutral pinkish color story, and you've got these dark mattes right here. You get this light shimmer. Everything looks different, which I love, but the real standout in this palette is this gorgeous shade right here. I always get so many compliments when I wear it. So yeah, I really, really do like this palette when I wear it. Of course, you can move those around and put them in however you wish. Then the Foxy palette is also gorgeous. It's a very unique color story, I feel, and I love this like neon yellow, and then you get the golds and the browns and the corals. Then you have these kind of cooler tone shades up here. Of course, your really nice mix of mattes and shimmers. And these little palettes are just really nice, like they just feel good. So yeah, I could not decide between the two, and like I said, I do tend to reach for them together. I don't know why, but I usually do. And of course, I think these are like $10 a piece. It's like you pay $1 for each of the shadows and then $1 for the magnetic case. And it comes all separate and you put it together. So even if someday you wanted to get rid of all the eyeshadows, you can keep this case and use it for single pan eyeshadows of any kind. At number 13, it's the Too Faced Pretty Rich palette. I did purchase this on sale at TJ Maxx pretty recently, and it's really beautiful. But there's a couple shades that just kind of miss for me. This kind of glitter shade here, I was so excited to use, but it's extremely difficult and has like no payoff. And what's missing for me in this palette is I wish that there was a silver glitter. You know, you've got a gold, and then this shade here isn't really gold and it isn't really silver, and so it's just kind of awkward to me, honestly. But I do love that you have this rich brown, you've got these light shades, you get some pinks. These shades right here, these three are gorgeous. I love this blue. And I kind of wonder if the way you're supposed to wear it is like row by row, like you could pair all of those rows kind of together. But yeah, I still don't really quite know exactly what to do with this palette when I try to wear it. So yeah, I guess it made the top 15, but I wanted to rank it higher so bad, but I just couldn't. So like I said, I did get it on sale for like 20 bucks, and I've seen, I think, where they've dropped the price to like 15 not too long thereafter. And so it's definitely a much pricier palette. So if it's a color story that you like, if you do see it, definitely pick it up. But yeah, I'm still a little unsure on how to work with it. At number 12, it's the Urban Decay Mini Stone Vibes palette. This came in a gift set. This came in a gift set with a primer potion and a 24/7 Glide On liner. It has completely different shades than the big version of this palette, and it's gorgeous. I mean, it is just stunning. But yeah, all of those three shades there are so different, and then you have the pink, which is really nice, and you get that brown so you can smoke it all out. And the shimmers in these palettes are absolutely stunning. They have all those tones in them, and they're so opalescent and rich and creamy. So I love this palette. So it's really coming in pretty good considering how small it is. At number 11 is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette. So of course I ranked this higher than the Birds of Paradise palette because first of all, you get a brush. Now I don't like the ABH brushes as much as I like the Urban Decay ones personally, but you get this beautiful, colorful palette. And with what I like is I like the light and I like the dark. You get all those beautiful matte shades that are bright, and then that top row of shimmers, and they are all so different and so gorgeous. I've gotten to experiment with this a little bit, and what can I say? If you can find this for 20 bucks, it is gorgeous. And it's a standalone palette, which I love, especially in my colorful palettes, because colorful palettes are a little harder to sometimes wear on their own, so I always appreciate when they make it where you can wear it by itself. So now we're into the top 10, and number 10 is the Violet Boss I Donut Care Fun Sized Eyeshadow Palette. This is such a cute little palette. This is everything that I want a donut palette to be, honest to goodness. I saw this in Sephora and my husband surprised me with it for my birthday. This like white shade here is very reminiscent of Lucid from the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet. These two shades here are a little bit more repetitive than I would want them to be. I would have maybe preferred like a metallic pink or a metallic bright blue or something like that. But overall, this palette is absolutely stunning. It's kind of standalone with the exception of I don't think I use this for under my brow bone because it does have a little tinge of green, but you could. But it is absolutely so cute, so stunning. Again, it's placing pretty high for a smaller palette, really because I love just the idea of it. So I just love this little palette. At number 9, it is the Profusion Mirage. It's actually what I'm wearing on my eyes right now. This is a gigantic palette, and I think they originally go for about $13, $14, $15 or so. But I picked this one up for $7.99 at a TJ Maxx type of a store, and it's kind of half neutral, half colorful. It's got glitters, it's got shimmers. I don't reach for it as much as I should, and that's kind of why I pulled it out today to do a look. Profusion is really good. You get a lot for your money, and I really think the quality is amazing, especially their smaller palettes. I've heard very awesome things about from a lot of my friends here on YouTube. So yes, really, really nice, affordable palettes, and you get a lot for your money, and you get a really good quality. And so yeah, what more can I say? There's a little bit of repetitiveness in this, and of course it's gigantic, but you know, you get like that shade there is beautiful. Same thing with this one right here. Those glitters are nice. Lots of really pretty colors for what your money buys, even at full price. So yeah, and this palette actually kind of started my love affair with TJ Maxx makeup because I really didn't know that they were as awesome with having like high-end stuff at like a discounted price. Especially like when you hit it the right, like when you get there on the right day at the right time, just how amazing it can be. And I actually bought this palette and didn't really know it was a much more expensive palette. But I think I paid like, it was like a $17 palette, and I think I paid like $5. This is the only thing BH I've ever owned, but I know that they've had like a resurgence because apparently back in the day they weren't that great. And now they're just apparently amazing. I hear so many people rave about them. And their price point, they're so affordable. And this was my first experience with BH, and I was impressed. So I don't know if this palette is in the better days or if I just have horrible taste. I don't know. At the time, it was still, again, at a time I was looking to add more color to my collection. And what I loved about this was that it had the mattes on the bottom, then the corresponding shimmers, and then half shimmer, half matte on the top with like more neutral shades. So again, you can really use this as like a standalone palette. The only thing you would need is your under the brow bone highlight. But I did a really gorgeous look the other day that I just was in love with. I used this reddish kind of brick shade, and then I used this shade here, which is kind of like duochrome-esque, and just absolutely so pretty. Again, I don't use it as much as I would like to or should, but whenever I do grab it, I always get an absolutely stunning look. At number 7, it is the Collab Sunset Dreams palette. And again, this is just one of those palettes I just really have a soft spot for. It's a small palette, and again, it lacks an under the brow bone highlight, but the color story, I'm obsessed with the color story of this palette. And again, I haven't really used it recently, and I need to. I really need to. I purchased this at Sally Beauty Supply earlier in the year, and it's a little bit pricey, honestly, for an 8-pan palette, but I just couldn't turn away from this color story. You have that dark, rich brown. Those 4 mattes are just gorgeous. Those 4 shimmers are gorgeous. And I just think that the color story is so interesting. The quality is really nice. Like I said, you do lack your under the brow bone highlight, at least for my taste. I like something really light and shiny. Gorgeous. Like I said, I don't know, this palette just has my heart in some way. And it's like always ranked high for me. When I did the eyeshadow palette tag earlier in the year, the one that was started by Samantha March and Allie Glines, I created a category, and I don't know if other people did the same thing, but I added the most interesting color story for this palette. So yeah, this one just has my heart for some reason. And at number 6, it is the Too Faced Sparkling Pineapple Eyeshadow Palette. I'm pretty sure that I bought this year. There's a small chance I bought it at the end of last year. It's 2021 now, so there's a small chance that I purchased this at the end of 2019. I can't remember, so to be safe, I'm gonna add it in because I wouldn't wanna leave it out, you know, of the ranking if I did purchase it last year. So I decided to go safe than sorry. But again, something I found at TJ Maxx for $14.99, and originally it was like $37 or something like that, is the Too Faced Sparkling Pineapple Eyeshadow Palette. And this is, of course, has recently been discontinued. The packaging is just stunning. It's so heavy duty, but yeah, the packaging is absolutely stunning. Of course, it smells like pineapples, everything that's amazing about Too Faced, and the palette is gorgeous. It's little. This shade here you can use as an under the brow bone highlight, but again, like I said, I use something shiny, but you get these beautiful shimmers and mattes. You've got this kind of duochrome shade, and you've got this gorgeous, I don't know if that's like a foiled shadow, but it is stunning, whatever it is. And yeah, this shade here really kind of sold me. These, you know, these two just really stand out, of course. But yeah, just absolutely stunning. And again, to be a small palette, yeah, but I could take this on vacation and feel very comfortable because I could get a fun look, I could get a glamorous look, I can get a neutral look with very little thinking about it. So this is a wonderful little palette. It took me the longest time to use it. I had it for like months before I used it. That's not usually like me, but I was so glad when I finally did dig it out and use it, so yeah. Now we are in the top 5, and at number 5, it is the Makeup Revolution Chilled Palette. I bought this at the same time I bought my Birds of Paradise palette, but it is this gorgeous green and neutral palette. And it truly is, it looks really green, but it's really like half green and half neutral. And again, just like these Forever Flawless palettes from Makeup Revolution, they have those beautiful glitters, they've got the shimmers, they've got like those, I think, Super Shock, you got your mattes, you've got all your good stuff. Again, I've got videos with this. I did like I think it was a 3 looks 1 palette. I did, you know, you can do a completely neutral look, you can do something very glam, you can do something very green. It's just absolutely stunning. And these are so affordable. Sometimes they go on sale for like $9 or something like, and the packaging is nice. You know, it's got this nice metal packaging, big pan sizes. I think the Chilled palette overall is slightly better quality than the Birds of Paradise. I don't really have any problems with any of these shades. And I think they just came out with a mini version of this, which looks amazing. Now, number 4 is actually kind of an interesting choice because I love the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, but I bought it like 2 years ago. But I did buy this palette this year to kind of compare, and it's amazing. It's definitely a better dupe for the Naked Heat than the Rimmel Electric Violet palette is for the Naked Ultraviolet. And it is the Magnifeyes Spice Edition palette. Definitely like a spot-on dupe for the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I do have a video I will link down below. And the quality is amazing. And I only paid $4 for mine. So yeah, this is gonna be number 4 because the Urban Decay Naked Heat is like one of my all-time favorite like neutral palettes. So of course this had to come in at number 4, and considering the quality is really good, it's also affordable, which is nice, but it's an exact dupe for the Urban Decay palette. And I think at full price, they might be $10 or something like that, somewhere around there. So very affordable way to get that look for so much less. So yes, this comes in at number 4. Now we're in the top 3. And coming in for me at number 3 is my all-time favorite colorful rainbow palette, and that is the e.l.f. J Kissa collab palette. It's just the perfect rainbow palette. I just absolutely adore this palette. Of course, you know, I've done a lot of standalone looks with this. Of course, you know, if you want some neutrals in there, you have to go to another palette. This just has all color. It's got brighter colors, it's got more muted colors, it's got those gorgeous shimmers, and I just love this palette. So yes, I had to add a colorful one in that top 3, and this was such an easy choice. Sometimes people feel like e.l.f. is hit or miss. I really like this palette overall. I have very little problems working with it. Some people feel differently, but I just absolutely adore this palette. So now the top 2, coming in at number 2, is a palette I have put off buying for a little while because I wasn't sure, but I recently had my mom buy it for me for my birthday. That was back in September, but I had her wait, so she literally bought this for me like 2 weeks ago. But it's the Urban Decay Stoned Vibes palette. Definitely like the prettiest palette I own. And I have dug into this a lot this week. The last couple weeks, I wore it for New Year's Eve. Yeah, this is just a gorgeous palette. The shimmers, just like the little mini version. You get all those shimmers, all those mattes. It comes with a brush, which is amazing. The package is nice and sturdy. I do like a shimmery under the brow bone highlight, but other than that, I just absolutely am loving this palette. Definitely not a regret at all. So yes, this comes in at number 2. And then at number 1, I thought I was gonna regret buying this palette when I did, but I did buy it on sale. It was about half price at Ulta a little earlier in the year. And it was my first Anastasia Beverly Hills purchase. And this palette has just really surprised me in how much I love it and how versatile I feel it is. And it is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Carly Bible palette. I just think this has a little bit of everything. It's got you can do your neutral looks, you can do some color, it's got shimmers, it's just got everything. Of course, it came with a brush. But I just found, I was a little worried I would get bored with this palette, but that was not an issue when it was in my makeup basket. I just adore this palette. This is definitely not just one of my favorite palettes of this year, but one of my favorite palettes overall. This and the Stone Vibes, for sure. I just have absolutely fallen in love with this palette. So glad I purchased it. Like I said, I was so afraid it was gonna be a regret, and I purchased it the same day I bought my Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet, which is unlike me to buy like 2 high-end palettes in one day. Like I said, it was on sale. I probably would not have purchased this if it was A, not on sale, and not an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. So, but it was just the perfect day to go, and I'm just so glad that I picked this up. So this is my favorite palette purchase of 2020. So I hope you enjoyed this palette ranking video of all the palettes that I purchased in 2020. Like I said, a lot of them aren't new palettes. Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. They're just new to me and new purchases of mine this past year. And so if you did enjoy this, show me you did by giving it a big thumbs up. Like I said, I will have corresponding videos down below in the description box. That way, if you're interested in any videos I've done on any of these palettes, they will all be down there, as well as that palette playlist that I told you about earlier in the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.